Hi, welcome to the ASUG News Studio. My name is Tom Wilgum. We are broadcasting live from ASUG Annual Conference and Sapphire Now 2015. Well, I'm delighted to have Jeff Crawford in the studio today. We're going to be talking about his mobile CRM experiences at Harris Products Group, which is a division of Lincoln Electric. So, Jeff, welcome into the studio. You're the director of IT there, and you've got some great lessons learned that you're going to be sharing with everyone here.
Thanks, Tom.
So, can you just give us a little bit of an overview of the project as it started, and then we'll get into some of your best practices you learned as we get out.
Lincoln has been a CRM user for some time, and in late 2012, early 2013, we worked on a mobility strategy because there was a lot of requests for, can we put SAP out on iPhones, iPads? So we had lots of good ideas. We needed a strategy. We did that, and then we went about finding a firm to work with, and then went ahead and rolled it out. Now, as part of getting ready to do that, the team spent time riding along with sales reps to understand what their needs were in the selling process and what a day in the life of a sales rep was like. And we found out a couple of interesting things. One is salespeople do not like to crack open their laptops when they're on the road. And in the current world that we had at the time, that was the only way you could get data into CRM, was to get on your laptop and do it. One of the sales reps in our division told me about his week where he would take a yellow notepad, write down all his appointments for the week, furiously take notes, and then on Thursday night, when he got home, he opened his laptop and keyed it all in because he had a Friday meeting with his sales manager. And the rule was, if the data wasn't in the system, it didn't count. So we were using CRM as a Salesforce management tool, but the salespeople weren't necessarily getting a lot of value out of it. So mobility offered us an opportunity to do that.
So you would say, at least first, one best practice is actually getting with the salespeople, talking to them, seeing how they do their job. When they're out on the road, they're driving around with their coffee and their bagels in their car, and what they need from a device. I mean,
That's
so it's
correct.
really getting in their faces and working with them. Is that what you would add?
Yes, I would very much agree with that.
So what are the things, one of the things I know we had talked about was mobile device management policy.
Yes.
How critical is that?
That's extremely critical, and that's something that Lincoln had to work its way through. We had been experimenting with a couple of tools, but then the mobility project actually forced us to get serious about policies, about how we wanted to manage mobile devices. We determined early on that we weren't going to allow people to bring their own devices. That's kind of an anathema to our firm.
That's true, actually. That's a little bit different than most people.
Well, I don't know. It's interesting. When I did the research for the strategy, that's all the pundits were talking about, that very soon everybody's going to bring their own device.
Right.
I think what we've seen, though, is that slowed down in a lot of places. And Lincoln's very security conscious, so they did not want devices on their network that weren't Lincoln devices. And so that's been our approach, and we will reevaluate that at some point, but for right now, it works for us.
That's great. One of the things that you talked about was leveraging actually the SAP, the functionality that's in the system. Obviously that was probably a critical must-have as you guys set out, and how did you go about figuring out what functionality you would use, what wouldn't you use for this project?
Well, we did two things. One is we kind of laid out an overall strategy that says what are all the things that we'd like to eventually put out on the mobile device. And we initially started, though, with just accounts, opportunities, and activities because A, that's what we already had in CRM, and that was a great way to control the initial scope of the project. I think, though, one of the things that we learned was a lot of what the salespeople do, though, is they do that, but they also take calls from customers that are interested in order status or interested in inventory availability. We did not roll those out in the first round. And I kind of feel, though, that we may have missed an opportunity there to provide more value to the sales force, because that's where a lot of their pain points are, is with those issues.
Yeah, that's great. To really know those issues, there's always version 2, right?
Yep.
So one of the other things we talked about, and I really love this point, seems a little bit in tune with SAP as well, is really keeping it simple rather than trying to do too much. Tell us about how you guys went after that.
Well, it was a little bit of, we had a longer laundry list of things that we wanted to do, and you finally just draw a line and say, I can't do it all in the first round. We have to do it simple. Mobile technology was new for us. We decided to build the environment ourselves rather than let a provider do that for us. you know, it's a lesson learned. If I had to do it all over again, maybe we would have done that differently. But you know, you undergo a lot of variables. The infrastructure team now had to support a lot of devices that previously were not even on their radar screen when you look at phones and tablets. So that was new for them to get up to speed on how they were going to manage those as well. So if you try to take on too much, I mean, the potential's huge.
Right.
And so you got to start with something that's smart that you can make work.
Great, and I think that's a great way to end the session. I really love these tips. I appreciate you coming in, and it was great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Enjoy the rest of your week here.
Thank you.
For more customer stories, just like the story we heard today, please go to acugnews.com.